Yeah, hear the battle cry under the devil's sky. The one-winged angel screams. It fills my hopes and dreams. The best
Oh yeah! long time, ladies and gentlemen. It has been so long since we've gone live, but we are changing it up. We are revamping. We are back, stronger than ever before. And I'm here to tell you that the new Technoid live episodes are back. They're coming in strong, and they start right now. So I only got one question for you. What do you guys think? You enjoy or you enjoy? What's going on, everybody? Michael here. We are back with an all new design to the studio, a brand new refresh, new camera, new equipment. We are doing things different this time, ladies and gentlemen. It is great to be back. It is great to entertain all of you. But most importantly, I am so happy that this worked. You have no idea how many trial and errors we did. And I just want to say, guys, that these live episodes are going to be different from here on out. They are no longer going to feel like your average everyday live episode. They are going to be interactive. They are going to be fun. They are going to be everything that I envisioned this 5 years ago when I was still starting out. And I want to take this moment to thank each and every one of you, for all of you that supported me, for all of you that were by my side since day one. We are here at the pinnacle. We are here today. And all I have to say, all I can tell all of you is thank you for your support, because here we are. All right. Before we get to the show, we got to bring in our co-host of the night. As you know, my man from the CLE, the man with Joe Brrr. But most importantly, the GOAT of the telecom industry. I'm, of course, talking about the one, the only, Sneed Motek. What is up?
What up? What up, bro? That was a phenomenal intro, dog. Wonderful, man.
All I'm going to say, Jason, from I'm Just Saying, if there was ever an appreciation post that needed to go out, that intro definitely did it. But anyway, let's get right to it. So, guys, we're going to start this show up. We're not going to be on here for too long. I just wanted to debut the new show. Also, as you can see, the graphics are different. We are rocking the purple and green just like the regular episodes. We'll work on the camera because I look like I'm a midget-ish kind of person. Excuse my language. Don't get offended with me. But let's begin. First things first. As you guys know, with all of my live episodes, we got to get this out of the way. Number one, subscribe to Sneemable Tech. That's obvious. Number
Gotta do
two,
it.
follow me on Twitter at Technoid12. You will stay up to date on the channel. You will also make sure to be the first to hear about anything that goes on behind the scenes. Number three, We want to take this moment to thank our partners of the Technoid Show. First and foremost, the OG, the GOAT of the game, Rogue Energy. Rogue has continued to partner and to continue their support for my channel. And guys, they have just unveiled some new flavors in the hydration area. If you are an athlete, you're working out, you need your electrolytes, they've got the all-new Moon Dust, a mystery flavor. You don't even know what it is, but definitely check it out. They've also released the brand new strawberry bubblegum hydration flavor, which is reminiscent to those delicious pink candies you get. And to top it all off, rainbow candy. All 3 new flavors available now at rogueenergy.com. Head on over, use the promo code Technoid, and save yourself 10% off. And remember, every time you use a promo code, you are helping support the channel. Number 2, we want to thank our next partner, Slate Chocolate Milk. Slate is another great alternative drink for you. For those of you that are lactose intolerant, but those of you that don't want the dairy, that don't want that lactose, well, I'm here to tell you guys, you're going to enjoy this. They have a nice array of flavors. They are absolutely delicious. They've got mocha, chocolate, dark. They've got French vanilla. Oh, the list goes on. Head on over to slatemilk.com or slatemilk.com and make sure you use the promo code Technoid. You will save some money there. But also, if you did not watch last week's episode of Technoid, we have now secured a 3rd partnership. The tres. And that, of course, is the company that I am wearing tonight. The company that makes the beautiful workout gear. I am talking about Super X, a company that I have been behind since their day 1 inception. They make some of the best workout gear. As a matter of fact, let's just take a look. Look what I'm wearing, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this gear. Look at this. Beautiful. Nice spandex, stretch, breathable, also flexible workout gear. If you're a martial artist, everything. And it's slim, tapered fit to show off those muscles if you have any. But most importantly, they are highest of high quality as they get. And to celebrate this brand new partnership, they are having an 80% off sale on some of the gear, their most popular sales. And they've also secured me with the first promo code. We will get it changed over to Technoid, but this is temporary, ladies and gentlemen. Head on over to superx.co. Head on over. See, that's the shirt I'm wearing right now. Look at all these amazing designs inspired by those superheroes we watch on the big screen. Head on over, ladies and germs, and I will tell you guys, you are going to enjoy their quality. They are of the highest. Use the promo code and save yourself some money. All right, we've done it. We've gotten out of the way. We've talked all about our partners. Thank you to all 3 companies for continuing their support, and welcome Super X. I look forward to collaborating in the future. Okay, 8 minutes have gone. We got to get this show going. So let's begin. Sneed, brother,
What up?
friend.
What up, man?
I got to figure out a way to make these things shorter. I'm going to have to, but let's start it up.
Let's do it.
So tonight's episode is called The iPhone 15 Lineup Changes Apple. Now, that's a very vague and, if I say so myself, not a really ongoing title, but when coming up with the theme of this show, I had to think of a topic that everybody's talking about. And I think it's safe to say that the iPhone 15 is that topic. However, though, I didn't want to talk about a lot of the things we've heard. I don't want to talk about the newest rumors. But instead, I wanted to take this moment to talk about how this particular phone breaks the mold for Apple. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you have been keeping up with these rumors, they are insane. You see, it was only a year ago when we had John Prosser on the show, when we talked the iPhone 15, when we talked the iPhone 14. And a year ago, there were so many reports saying that Apple was going to go to USB-C. Now, I was one of those people that did not believe it. I said, I don't see Apple doing it. I would think they would do something different rather than do that. But time told a different story. Mandates were placed. People were pissed, most notably Tim Cook. And now the iPhone 15 lineup is getting USB-C. But that's not the only thing that's changing in the phone. And that's what I want to talk about. That's where I want to focus on the proprietary technology. Because while it is great that the iPhone 15 now will have a USB Type C, yes, this render, ladies and gentlemen, that you're looking at on the screen, that is an official USB-C on a leaked iPhone from Unknowns 21, which has been seen to be confirmed. Now, here's the thing. Sneed,
Mm-hmm.
I know you're not an iPhone guy.
Right.
I know you're an Android guy. I know you're in Team Pixel.
Mm-hmm.
Tito for Team Pixel.
Yep.
I also know that you do use an iPhone.
I do.
I gotta ask you. I've known you for 4 years. 4 years, Sneed.
Mhm.
I've known you for 4 years. You've watched me grow. We've had debates. We've had topics. We've had conversations. We've had a lot of discussions. And one of the things you have always told me, and you've stood by this statement, if the iPhone were to get USB-C, then there's nothing else to complain about. Because we've known that the biggest issue with the iPhone was Lightning. Now it's gone, or it's
Mhm.
going away,
Right.
reportedly. Let me ask you your question. Now that we are seeing that it is more likely than ever, because again, it's still rumors, but these are images. What is your stance now? Or what is it going to be now when you use it in the real world?
I think there's a small population of people who are actually on Android because of USB-C. I think there are some people who have been on the fence about switching to iOS and Apple for their phone. Part of the reason why they've stayed away may have been a little bit, just a small piece of that might have been the hardware with respect to the charging port. Bro, the lightning cable is trash. The transfer rate, the proprietary nature of the fit, the cables, in my opinion, seem to fail really easy, right? A little flimsy, not as sturdy. The USB-C is absolutely phenomenal as a charging standard. Great rate, great rate of transfer, great rate of charge. It's a far superior charging technology. Apple's smart to do this. They are, I'm telling you, I think they're going to gain that little bit of market share that they would have otherwise not have had. I think there are a few people that are probably going to switch to iOS and Apple now that this happened. Now, it's not a huge number of people. Whoever wants to be with an iPhone has an iPhone, right? But there is a small number of people who have probably been waiting for this moment who now are like, okay, I truly have to consider Apple's iPhone. And they've fixed some other problems too. The modems have gotten better. They've been going with Qualcomm for a couple of years now, and that should continue to be the case at least for another generation. They've been addressing some of their issues. The displays have gotten better.
They have.
The batteries have gotten bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm very critical of Apple. I've been critical of Apple for a long time. They have addressed some of my hardware concerns. I think the iPhone today is a much better phone, even in comparison to a few years ago. It's a better phone. This makes it one step closer to, something that I feel is a little bit more standard, which is good. A charging standard is a good thing. To hell with the lightning cable. Death to the lightning cable, dog. Seriously. Trash,
Death to
bro.
the lightning cable. And it's funny because, real quickly, we're going to turn the screen off just to show you guys something. I have here, remember how you said the cables were flimsy?
Yeah.
Well, back in the day, I used to hate Apple cables. I hate them. But ever since they made the switch to braided, they've gotten so much better. And surprisingly, they've made this braid. I don't know if you could see it. The quality is probably not going to get through. But this is a braided Lightning to USB-C cable that ships with the Max. It ships with, I believe, the Magic Mouse. It ships with the
But not the
trackpad, the
iPhone.
Force, but not the iPhone.
But not the iPhone.
Surprisingly, they are now starting to ship braided cables in MagSafe, USB-C to USB-C cables that come braided just like this. And, I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter anymore if this gets shipped or not because Lightning's heading out the door. But you bring up a lot of fair points. The iPhone, in my opinion, I'm an iPhone user. I've always been one. I've been an Android user. I still use Android. I have a Fold. And I love it. And also, real quickly, I just want to shout this man out. Siova, thank you for the $2 super chat. But thank you for coming in, man. It's great to see you. It's been a long time. I got to get you back on a show. Hit me up later on. We'll hit you on the next show. We're going to do a light showdown, whatever. The DJ from Queens. But in all seriousness, I really appreciate what Apple is doing by complying. Now, as much as I don't like the mandate being the reason that they did this, I'm not mad because there are two solutions that come out of this. Number one, it's a win-win for consumers because now we can finally have one cable to rule it all. And number two, it does away with e-waste, which is, I believe, some people argue is the biggest and probably the most critical thing you're going to hear. You know, that whole argument about e-waste, which Apple could have done a long time ago, but they never did. So, yeah, all I can say is I'm very glad of this move. It's about time that the iPhone got USB-C for faster data transfers, especially if you're using it for photography and other things like they say a pro phone is supposed to be. However, though, Sneed, Apple being Apple, you know there's a curveball in there. You know they got to throw a wrench in there. You know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the biggest wrench that came out this week was that, according to several reports, that apparently the USB-C port will be locked by Apple. Now,
Locked.
before everybody starts flipping out, before everybody starts getting mad, before everybody starts saying, oh, we got to use Apple cables only, let me clarify a couple things. Number one, it's half true. Apple will be locking the USB-C port to MF certified USB-C cables. Now, you're probably asking yourself, how can Apple do MF certification with a USB-C, a universal port? How can Apple have any input? Well, I'm here to tell you there's a way. And it's actually the same way that they've been doing it with Lightning. A chip that goes into that port must meet Apple's MF certifications if you want to see, most likely, the fastest of fast charging. Because that's where they're locking it in. If you use a specific cable that's MF certified for Apple's fast charging via wired, you will probably get the most fastest of charge and data sync. Any other cable? Not going to work. But
Not going to work at all?
No, that's what I was about to say. That doesn't mean you still can't use the cable. You can still use the cable, but you will experience lower data speeds and probably a little slower charging.
Man.
So that is how Apple gets you. Now, that's not enough. That's not enough. MagSafe is officially MF certified. So now, even with Qi wireless charging, they will still create a program for you to get 15 watts of fast wireless charging. Now, to clear up a lot of misconceptions and also to put a lot of you at ease, let's clear up a few things. Number one, this isn't just going to lock you out from using any USB-C cables. You can use them. They just won't give you that experience like an Apple cable, which I think is a load of bull. It does not lock you, however, from using audio cables via USB-C. It doesn't lock you from using Thunderbolt, regardless of the cable. A Thunderbolt cable is a Thunderbolt cable, so they can't lock that. This specific cable, and I'm going to show you guys something because I did a little research of my own. You see, Detective Technoid in the house. I went on the Apple Store. I went in on accessories. And I couldn't help but notice, if you remember our conversation just about the braided cables before, Sneed, I hinted at it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you something. Because I was going through the Apple Store just to see, are they working on anything, anything of importance. And just when it looked like I was about to finish, I stumbled upon this. Now, you're saying to yourself, this is a USB-C charger. What's different about it? Well, take a look at the material. Let's zoom in. Why won't we? Hold on. Come on. Zoom. Oh, okay. Apple locks in your zoom. That's great. But look closely if you can. I want to zoom in, but it won't allow me. Anyway, if you can't see, here we go. It's braided. Now you're probably saying to yourself, "Oh, what does braiding have anything to do with?" They never sold this cable. This cable was never made for any iPad or anything. And take a look at the compatibility. Now you're probably saying to yourself, "Well, what are you hinting at? What are you doing here?" Do you notice the wording? Look at the wording. Pair your USB-C charging cable with a compatible USB-C power adapter for device wall outlet and take advantage of fast charging capabilities for ideal charging, syncing, and transferring data between USB-C devices. This is the cable they are going to sell you. When you buy that iPhone 15, this is the cable that is going to be the cable. Now, are they going to include a cable in the box? Who knows? But I picked up on it and I said, this is phase 2. You remember phase 1, Sneed? Way back when we were going through the iPads, remember how we were saying, how is Apple going to, get this transition with the Lightning?
Mm-hmm.
Well, remember that Lightning adapter to USB-C?
I do.
For the first gen, that was phase 1.
Right.
And now we have officially entered phase 2 with the brand new. Now, again, a lot of you will look at me and say, "Oh, you're crazy. You're paranoid." But why else would they feature a high-quality cable, especially from Apple, a braided cable? Now, I know they do it for MagSafe and others. But why would they do it so soon? And why is the wording so close to what you see when you buy a Lightning cable for iPhones? Connect the dots, people. Connect the dots. So all I'm going to say is this is how they get you. See, they didn't do it with Lightning. There's no point in doing it with Lightning. Lightning's gone. Lightning's over. They're done. But they said, hey, if we're going to make people use an MF certified cable, we're going to make our own and sell it. And we'll braid it. Why don't we?
What do you think about the transition? What do you think about that process?
It's going to take about maybe 3-4 years.
3 years, 4 years. Yeah.
I think 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Because the general people, the general everyday user, probably only uses USB-C for maybe 1 out of 4 products that they owned. One of the 4 could include a PlayStation 5 controller, a new iPad. They could feature probably any speaker, or maybe on their computer. But the biggest product that they have in their arsenals is an iPhone, AirPods, AirPods Max, Apple accessories, Apple TV controllers, but they just started transition with USB-C on that.
Right.
So I see about 3 to 4 years, and probably in the beginning, Apple will probably do what they did with the 30-pin connector, feature adapters. They'll start selling them out, but then eventually they'll just say, you know what, it's done. Now, one last thing to know before we move on. I don't want anybody to think for a moment that Apple is not going to make you use any cable. You can use a USB-C cable. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. A cable is a cable. But Apple being Apple, they want a proprietary in some way. They want to prioritize something. And the best way they can do it is the transfer speeds and the charging speeds.
And that's not hard for them to do.
That's not hard for them to do.
It's an easy thing to kind of create a gateway, like a fast lane. It's like priority. You're giving an elite group of or exclusive individual group of people who have these specific cables, giving them access to a specific functionality they can't get on a non-proprietary version of the hardware.
And I'll tell you something. Also, by the way, guys, if you don't believe me that I drink Rogue I drink it every time on my live episodes.
All
Jackie
day,
facts.
every day, all the time.
All day, every day.
Mhm.
I'll say this. USB-C has become the gold standard for connection.
Sure.
So having Apple do it is great, but now that we've seen the ways that they're going to make it Apple, it's a kick in the balls. Let's call a spade a spade. It's a kick in the balls. But for the general people, they're probably not even going to care. And that's how Apple gets away with it.
Yeah, but
Unless
Mike,
you're
I got something for you, bro. I got something.
go ahead.
High school kids, middle school kids, all got issued Chromebooks at school, right?
Mm-hmm.
They use USB-C for charge.
Mm-hmm.
Their lives just got a whole lot easier, dog. They're carrying around one charger that charges their phone and their Chromebook now, regardless of the speed,
Mm-hmm.
right? However they decide to, create that exclusivity to that. Some people's lives just got a whole lot simpler, man.
Well, that was my point. Because regardless of the charging speeds or regardless of what cable they're going to use, the fact that they could just use that cable for anything,
Yeah,
that's a win-win for them. So
it is. Yeah.
unless you're a tech-savvy person like me and you and all the hundreds of other tech YouTubers out there, they're not going to really care. Only us that know the details will care.
Well, let's create the parameters, right? What is considered successful for Apple as a charging rate on their first USB-C phone? 20 watt?
Well, 20 watts is right now what they're doing. I would
25
say,
watt?
I would say personally, well, no, not is it 20 watts? I don't even know. I know.
But you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what's if it goes one step up, let's say it's a 15, 20, 25% speed increase just by switching from lightning cable to USB-C, right? What if they got to 28, 30 watts?
30
Now we're
watts would
talking
be
about a 30, 40, 50% increase,
See,
right?
that would be the ideal way to position it. But then they say you got to use an Apple USB-C MF
Fine,
certified
but
cable.
aren't you giving your customers something of an upgrade?
But yes, exactly.
They can literally say that. They could sell that. Hey, you've been upgraded. Here is an improved hardware solution for your transfer rates and for your charging.
That's how they would get. That's the way I would position it. I think that's how I would position it. And also, real quickly, guys, you're just looking at CAT scans. These are scans of the phone. That's the best way to do it because this isn't just for the iPhone 15 Pro, Pro Max, and Ultra. This is also for the whole iPhone 15 lineup, period. So every iPhone 15 is getting USB-C. However, with the iPhone 15 and hopefully 15 Max or whatever they're doing with that 15, because that baseline is not making sales, that will be stuck on USB 2.0 profile. Now, I know what you're probably saying. Oh, come on. Seriously? It's the cheap iPhone. At some point, you can say you don't really need Thunderbolt on that, but it would have been nice to have. However, the Pro and the Ultra will be the ones with Thunderbolt 3 and so on and so forth. So those get the more up-to-date profile. But you guys are probably listening to this. You're probably telling yourselves, well, how do you go around naming this episode The Lineup Changes Apple? Well, the point is simple. Apple, they changed. Even with all of their MF certifications, even with all the limitations, because they still have to maintain some integrity of being Apple, at the end of the day, they no longer have a proprietary connector. Think about it. They don't have anything proprietary anymore. You could argue MagSafe on a MacBook. That's more of a convenience rather than, but they have USB-C. iPads have USB-C. Apple TV controllers have USB-C. And now, their golden bread and butter iPhones will now have USB-C. And rather than tell Apple, in my view, I would say, you got forced to do it. I'm just going to say, it's about time. And I'm glad that they're doing it. And like I said, I'm not in favor of the EU stepping in, making agreements. I'm not in favor of anything like that. But if there was ever a time where something like that was needed, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. And I'll let you have the last say, and then we'll move on to the last stories.
So everybody's always going to look at this and say, well, what has my Galaxy been doing? What have my Androids been doing? They're going to say, these phones have been having incredible charging speeds, especially for people that are rocking OnePlus with the and some of that like VOOC technology, right?
Hmm.
The super charging 35, 45 watts. We've seen the Samsung Ultra devices are super fast. They're looking at
Hmm.
this and laughing. But like there are iPhone users who are going to see this as an upgrade, a lifestyle upgrade, first of all, and then second of all, just a general hardware upgrade. I gave the example of not having to carry around two chargers anymore. You carry the one, you do your Chromebook, right? You do your tablet, maybe if that's the case, and then you got your phone. I at the very least, we have a win in convenience. At the very least, and improved charging rates, and I think the data transfer rates are big. It's an improvement. We're glad they're going to be on board. I welcome it. It does address a customer pain point. The lightning cable was trash. As functional, it was trash. And then in reliability, it was trash. These are going to be improvements. And I like that you brought up the braided cables. If that becomes the standard cable and you can get it at a decent price, people won't mind buying it as long as it's good.
Oh yeah, and I can tell you, I've had this cable for over almost 2 years. I got it with the Magic Mouse when they sold the iMac, and so far, not a single fray in sight. It's a little dirty, but
Right.
it's it's non-tangle.
Holding up well, yeah.
Holding up very well.
Yeah,
So
that's the one I got my daughter. My daughter's off the hook with her iPad, yanking it around, right cable. I went with an Anchor brand,
mhm,
and it's been solid, but the braided is the way to go. They're durable, man. They're tough.
they are.
Yeah.
They absolutely are. So I'm glad to see that they're bringing braided. But yeah, that's where I'll leave it with the iPhone 15 and how it changes Apple. I think it's good that this is a change that is warranted. I think one that everybody will appreciate. I know Android fans are going to be like, you're 12 years too late. But you know what? They did it. They
Mhm.
weren't going to do it, but they did it. So let's
Yeah.
be happy with our lives. Let's be happy with our lives on this one. But speaking of something, real quickly, this will be the last story, and then we'll wrap up the show. This was not intended to be a big episode, guys. This was just a welcome back seminar. But speaking of Samsung, you know, I got a question the other day. Everybody's been asking me, they're like, Technoid, Mike, anybody calls me Mike, you haven't talked about Samsung. You haven't said anything. You've been quiet about the S23 Ultra. You've been quiet. You've been not saying anything. What's going on? Did you jump off the Samsung bandwagon? Well, no, I haven't. The reason I haven't talked about the S23 Ultra, and I know this is going to offend a lot of you, and I'm prepared for whatever backlash comes my way. But I was bored. And I think that's how I've been feeling over the last 2 years with Samsung, maybe 3. Now, before everybody jumps and starts hitting the dislike button, I wasn't bored because the phone was bad. It was good. It's great. It's powerful. That's why I was bored. Because this is an issue plaguing Samsung that they've been plagued with since the S10 came out. They have not been able, in my opinion, they have not been able to market, advertise, and sell as great as they have been from the last 3 years of ad revenue turnovers for Galaxy devices. The problem that I have is that it's not even about minimal anymore at this point. It's not minimal. There are some significant upgrades in these phones. But at some point, being so powerful, not that it becomes too powerful, but it's so powerful that you're bored of hearing about it. You're bored. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. But what I'm saying is, after 3 years of hearing the same thing, 3 long years of hearing Samsung saying, we are innovating, we are paving the way for performance of innovation. 3 years of just choking that word innovation. At what point do we stop and say, Okay, but what else? Is there anything else you can say? And that's why I haven't said anything about the S23 Ultra or the S23 line. They're not bad phones. They are so good. They are powerful. They are capable. They're great. But they're so great, they're boring. I didn't have any excitement in me. I felt more excited covering these news stories than I was when the phone launched. I was more excited covering the leaks than when the phone dropped.
Wow.
And I'll say this. I don't think the S23 Ultra is the best one to buy. I think the S23 Plus is the one you should go for. I think the Plus one is much better. But we'll get into that another time. But guys, stop me if I'm wrong here. How many years have we heard Samsung say the same things? How many times have we heard Samsung drag the name innovation? But what are they innovating? Innovating by doing the same thing that they've done for 3 years and just keep twisting it, trying to market the word innovation? Let me tell you guys something. You know, Apple never uses that word innovation anymore because they're not innovative. They're very good at being late to the party, but when they do it right. Samsung, to an extent, does innovate. They do. They do innovate. But I think another reason why I was bored was because they have another phone in their lineup that is better, in my opinion, and something that is slowly becoming more consumer friendly. The Galaxy Z Fold 4. A phone that offers something new and truly innovative. Something that keeps getting better with every release. Something that actually makes you excited to see what did they do differently. That's a phone that I would say, look, I know it's expensive, but at least they're giving me something that no other phone can do. If you want to argue camera, you want to argue display, you want to argue, hell, you want to argue even the technology, fine. But at least they're doing something
Yeah.
that nobody else is doing, and it's taken an initiative. That's why I was more excited for the Fold series than the S series.
Well, they created a market, right? These things didn't exist before them, really, to the American consumer.
And you know, real quickly, you know, a lot of people keep saying that foldables are non-practical, that they're too expensive for the consumers. They're right. They are. But here's the thing. They're just cool. They're cool.
Yeah, they are.
Listen, there's no way around it. Samsung makes the best foldables on the market that money can buy you. If you held up a Google Pixel Fold that's coming soon, or a Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5, I'm taking the Z Fold 5 every day, any day, for at least 2 years, till Google gets their feet off the ground. If Apple came out with a foldable, I would still take the Samsung Fold. And before you hit me, you'll say, oh, but you're an iOS user. Would it make sense? No. I'm taking a company that knows something about foldables over a company that I use that just released the first one ever, just like Google. But my point is this, and I want to get your input on it because I know I've been talking. But I think, in my opinion, that to me, Samsung is just not hitting strides with their S series anymore. Ever since the S10 came out, they have not been able to top those kinds of sales ever in the last however release cycles we've got.
The S10 and the Note 10 did really good. Yeah.
They were great.
Yeah.
And these are not bad phones. They're absolutely 100% great products. But the thing that also killed them, and I want you to talk about this, the carrier deals, the trade-in deals. That was the biggest shock, is that now Samsung is turning to carriers now for the promos.
Let me ask you something, Mike. Do you think this is an off year, like a one-off? Or do you think this is the way it's going to be moving forward with the lack of trade-in specials?
I'll answer that question in just a sec. But real quickly, Justin, cha-ching, boom! Appreciate you being on tonight.
Yeah.
YouTube algorithm brought it and worked it. But anyway,
Finally.
to answer your question, unfortunately, I'm going to say yes. And I hate it. I hate it. Because, not because of you have to have a carrier, but it's locked in.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Samsung. Let's say you get an S23 Ultra. Let's say you want to do S23 Ultra. 1 terabyte. Or, you know what? Let's be fair. 512. Let's go sky blue. Heh. Looks like the same colors they released last year. Literally looks like they reused the same
What'd
body
they
of the
call
phone.
it? What'd they call that color last year?
I don't know. I'm going to go back and look now. Let's say I'm a Samsung user. I want to do it through Samsung.
Right.
Mobile phone, good condition.
Mm-hmm.
Samsung.
Yeah.
$750 for the Z Fold 4.
What did people pay for that phone?
But wait. If you buy it through Samsung, you pay, let's hit the yes agree, you pay $629. If you get it with a carrier, only one of them, $579. So you're getting more value with one of the carriers than from Samsung themselves that makes it. Now, thankfully, when I traded in my, I forgot what I traded in, but I got a nice discount on the Fold. And I paid at least $1,000. And I financed it. It's almost done. So I'm fine with that. I don't mind that it's down $750 because I only paid about $1,000 financed. So it's $250 less. That's 3/4. Not bad, not great, but it's better than most that would have dropped. But I'll say this. I think Samsung going with the carriers, doing that whole double value was a bad move. And that's why I wanted you to talk about it, because you know as much as I know that the carriers,
You're right.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, the carriers, they kind of facilitate the deals, man. You know, they're a big growth engine for these phone OEMs. You know, look at AT&T. Trade in any Galaxy, any age. I mean, you could go back to a damn S5 and they'll give you full value on an S23, for example. You know, so the carriers are doing their end, but the OEMs, like when I look at what, even Google, man, you know, just generally speaking, Samsung used to be the exception, right? Apple doesn't give great trade-ins. It's very average or below average. Google doesn't give great trade-ins. This year was better than last year's, but just generally speaking, Samsung has been the king in trade-in value. You basically took last year's flagship, which you may still be financing, right? You may have paid half of it or less. You would trade it in and get $900 in credit on the next, you know, latest and greatest.
Yep.
And then this year, man, they like cut the trade-in value in half. You know, and it's like, wow, like what? That's what I was asking you. Do you think it's a one-off, or do you think this is the way it's going to be moving forward? Because next year there's people holding out, right? There's people with S22s who are holding out and saying, well, I'll just upgrade next year. Any guarantee it's going to be back to the way it was in the past?
No.
That's why I asked, do you think this is a sign of the rest of the way?
Oh, I do. I think this is a sign of things to come. And remember this last thing, and then we'll wrap up the show. If you put your faith in the carriers, just know what you're signing up for. Just know what you're signing up for.
3 years
At
of
least if
payments,
you-
man. 3 years
at
installments,
least-
dog.
At least if you do it with Samsung, at least if you used to, you only do it for 2 years. Maybe even a
Facts.
year. Maybe
Facts.
even a year.
Yeah.
Carriers, they lock you in, and they don't let go of you.
36 months, dude. That's crazy.
Unbelievable.
You could lease a car in 3 years.
Yeah.
Phones and cars, bro.
And with that said, we are going to wrap it up. So, listen, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight's episode is the start of many new things to come. Oh, we have a question. SMT, Technoid. Is it possible to use iPhones with Google Android technology like Chromecast and Nest Mini speakers? To answer the question, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, but
Yeah, full
via
integration through
Bluetooth.
the Google Home app. Yeah.
Through the Google Home app and via
Yeah.
Bluetooth. So that answers. And good thing asking the question now before we ended the show. We appreciate the question. But listen, guys, as I was saying, tonight is the dawn of a new chapter in this channel. I'm done caring about the numbers like I did a long time ago. Last year, I cared all about building credibility, focusing on the numbers, but it took the fun away. Well, we're going back to what we once was, but we still got to go forward. We're doing things my way, and we're going to have fun with it. So remember, guys, tonight is just a start. We got many, many more episodes coming. Got a lot of fun things lined up for the summer. And this thing is going to be the main centerpiece, and there is more. This is just the start. I want to take this moment to thank all of you again for your continued support. I want to thank everybody coming in live tonight. I want to thank Sneed Mobile Tech for being my partner, co-host. I want to thank everyone for the continued support. I will see you all on the next episode. Have a great night, everyone. You take care, you stay safe, and most importantly, hugs, not drugs.